Today, we are diving deep into the story of none other than Jesus Christ, focusing on the symbolic similarities to other much older traditions. Welcome. My name is Hudson Gray. I hope you are ready for a deep dive. Long before Christianity, civilizations across the ancient world told eerily similar tales. A divine savior, born of a virgin, performing miracles, betrayed, executed, and resurrected. Mithras, Dionysus, Osiris, Horus, Zoroaster, and even elements of Judaic tradition all mirror this narrative, sometimes with details so precise that calling it coincidence becomes absurd. These stories didn't arise in isolation. They weren't independent revelations from the heavens. They were part of an evolving mythos, shaped and reshaped across cultures, leading to what we now recognize as Christianity. Whether through deliberate adaptation or an unconscious continuation of the same archetype, the fact remains: the Jesus story is far older than Jesus himself. It's time to trace these connections, expose what's been forgotten, and confront a reality that challenges everything we've been told. The story of Mithras, an ancient god of light and truth, shares striking similarities with the narrative of Jesus Christ. From miraculous births to sacrificial deaths, Mithras's tale echoes the foundational elements of Christianity. Let's dive into the connections. The story of Mithras and its parallels to the narrative of Jesus Christ is one of the most intriguing comparisons in the study of ancient religions. Mithras, a deity worshipped in the Roman Empire from the 1st to 4th centuries CE, was regarded as a divine mediator and savior figure by his followers. The thematic similarities between Mithras and Jesus are striking, particularly when viewed in the context of the Roman world where both traditions developed. One of the most notable parallels is the story of Mithras's birth. According to the Mithraic tradition, Mithras was born from a rock, or an egg, a significant connection to the egg symbolism of Easter and the concept of a miraculous birth and a dying and rising god. Fully formed and holding a dagger and torch, symbolizing his divine origins. This miraculous birth is often compared to Jesus' nativity, which is marked by divine intervention and celebrated as a moment of spiritual significance. Both figures' births are tied to celestial events and light imagery, as Mithras is associated with Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god, and Jesus is described as the light of the world. Furthermore, Mithras's birth is commemorated on December 25th, a date later adopted by Christianity to mark the birth of Christ, likely as a way to appeal to Roman converts familiar with the significance of the winter solstice. Ritual meals form another point of comparison between Mithraism and Christianity. Mithraic ceremonies included communal meals involving bread and wine, symbolizing unity among initiates. This practice mirrors the Christian Eucharist, where bread and wine represent the body and blood of Christ. While the contexts differ, both traditions emphasize the sacred nature of the meal as a communal and spiritual act, highlighting their shared focus on salvation and divine connection. Sacrifice plays a central role in both narratives. In Mithraic tradition, Mithras is most famously depicted slaying a cosmic bull, an act believed to bring life and fertility to the world. Mithras, the bull slayer, and the cosmic shift of the ages. One of the most defining images of the Mithraic tradition is the tauroctony, or the slaying of the sacred bull. This act, depicted in countless underground Mithraic temples, Mithraea, was far more than just a symbolic sacrifice. It was an astrological event, encoded in the heavens, marking the end of an era and the birth of a new divine order. And when we examine the story of Jesus and the age of Pisces, the connections between Mithras and Christ take on an entirely new depth. The bull, the zodiac, and the end of an age. To understand Mithras' significance, we have to go back thousands of years to the precession of the equinoxes, a slow shift in Earth's alignment that causes different zodiac constellations to rule over long periods of time, each lasting roughly 2,160 years. In the time of early Mithraism, the dominant age was that of Taurus, the bull, roughly 4000 to 2000 BCE. Cultures across the ancient world, from Egypt to Mesopotamia to the Indus Valley, worshipped the bull as a divine force, hence why we see sacred bulls in Egyptian, Sumerian, and Minoan traditions. But Mithras, a solar deity, slays the bull. This is not just a random act of violence. This is an astrological event. Mithras is depicted killing Taurus, symbolizing the death of the age of the bull and the transition to the next great age. Aries, the ram, 2000 BC, 1 CE. The sacrifice of the bull ushers in a new cosmic age, just as later, Jesus symbolically marks the transition from Aries to Pisces. Mithras, Aries, and the age of the ram. After Mithras slays the bull, the world enters the age of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war, and it's no surprise that this age was marked by conquest, empires, and monotheism. The Old Testament, believed to have been compiled during this age, reflects Aries symbolism strongly. We see sacrificial rams, warlike deities, and strict monotheism emerging during this period. Moses himself is depicted coming down from Mount Sinai with horns representing Aries, and he condemns the worship of the golden calf, a clear symbol of the previous age of Taurus. He is guiding his people away from the old age and into the new, just as Mithras did before him. But, like all things in time, Aries too would fade, and a new messianic figure would be needed to usher in the next era. Jesus and the age of Pisces, the fisher of men. As the age of Aries came to a close, a new religious figure arose, one whose symbol was not the ram, but the fish. Jesus emerges at the turning point from Aries to Pisces, and his entire identity is wrapped in Piscean symbolism. He calls his disciples fishers of men. He miraculously feeds the masses with fish. He is associated with water, baptism, and spiritual renewal. Early Christians used the ichthys, fish symbol, as a secret sign. Even the Gospels encode this astrological shift. When Jesus prepares for the Last Supper, he tells his disciples, "Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in." Luke 22:10. This is not a random metaphor. It is a clear reference to Aquarius, the next astrological age. The man with the water pitcher represents the coming age of Aquarius, which follows Pisces. Just as Mithras killed the bull to end the age of Taurus and begin Aries, Jesus symbolically marks the transition from Aries to Pisces. The deeper meaning, cycles of cosmic messiahs. When we take this broader view, Jesus and Mithras are not separate religious figures, but part of a long cycle of cosmic saviors, each representing the dawn of a new era. Mithras killed the bull to bring forth Aries. Moses ended the calf worship to reinforce Aries. Jesus brought the fish to usher in Pisces. And now, in the modern era, some esoteric traditions claim we are transitioning into the age of Aquarius, awaiting a new messianic figure. If Mithras represents the solar hero of his time, then Jesus is simply his next incarnation, dressed in the symbols of Pisces rather than Aries. The bull, the ram, and the fish, these are not just religious symbols, but time stamps, marking humanity's passage through the great cosmic clock of the zodiac. History doesn't repeat itself, it cycles. The figures we worship are not born from nothing. They are carved from the cosmic order, preordained by the great celestial clock. Mithras slays the bull, heralding Aries. Moses breaks the golden calf, guiding his people through Aries, and eventually sacrifices the ram, symbolizing the end of Aries. Jesus brings the fish, fulfilling the prophecy of Pisces. And now, Pisces fades, Aquarius rises, and a new figure will inevitably emerge, whether we recognize them or not. Mithras was also revered as a guide and protector, bridging the gap between humanity and the divine. Followers saw him as a mediator who provided a pathway to salvation, much like Jesus' role in Christianity. In both traditions, the savior figure is portrayed as a spiritual guide and source of redemption, offering hope to their followers in a chaotic and uncertain world. The association with light and cosmic struggle is another shared motif. Mithras was celebrated as a champion of light, often depicted battling the forces of darkness. Similarly, Jesus is described as overcoming sin and evil, bringing spiritual illumination to the world. Both figures are tied to eschatological narratives that predict a final cosmic victory over darkness, whether through Mithras's triumph in a final battle or Christ's second coming to establish divine order. Eschatology is the theory surrounding death and the behavior of the soul. It deals with ideas such as rebirth, judgment, and how it all ties into the final destiny of mankind. At this point in the video, I'm fairly certain most of you will agree that Mithraism, Judaism, and Christianity are all astrological traditions. I am also fairly certain we can all see that Mithras, Sol Invictus, and Jesus represent the same character in many, many ways. Mithraism also placed significant emphasis on initiation and rebirth. Its secretive rites reserved for male initiates involved symbolic acts of purification and courage, marking a transformation into a higher spiritual state. Early Christian practices, particularly baptism, also emphasized spiritual cleansing and rebirth as an entry into the sacred community. This shared focus on personal transformation through ritual highlights the spiritual aspirations of both traditions. The story of Mithras shooting a rock with an arrow or bolt and creating water from it is referred to as the water miracle. This story is directly paralleled in the Bible in Exodus 17, where the Israelites complain to God about the lack of water, and God creates it from a rock for them. Mithraism and Christianity coexisted for centuries, influencing one another as they spread among diverse populations. Without a doubt, Christianity borrowed elements from Mithraic tradition to gain Roman converts. Birth, sacrifice, and resurrection resonate in the same spiritual language that later found expression in Christianity.